If we can go one damn week without Ezra Miller and Flash-related news, I would actually be very let down. What, you expected me to say, I'm sick of the Flash news. I want to talk about something else. No, listen, believe it or not, I do carry a level of amusement when it comes to this particular subject matter. That and it strokes my ego to have a bit of a moral high ground for once. I can finally be in a place to say, how dare Ezra Miller choke that woman? Or throw that chair in a nightclub? Or burglarize a home in Vermont? All I ever did was a few times, mind you, use music that had apparently been under a copyright embargo. Keyword, apparently. I didn't know, okay? I thought I was allowed to use that track because it said I could. But no, apparently I'm committing murder for accidentally not passing the copyright drug test. Like what, you want me to piss in it or something? Okay, and at first, that was the worst thing one could possibly do. Because how dare I practice fair use and not make a profit from it? Until Ezra Miller kept returning to the headlines. I am joking, by the way. A joke that might have dragged on for a tad too long, but you know me. That's who I am. And of course, I'm not a celebrity, but Ezra Miller is. He plays the role of a popular DC character in Speedster called The Flash in the 4-hour Zack Snyder Justice League movie. Now, according to the latest report from the Flash News Twitter account, Ezra Miller has reportedly filmed new scenes for The Flash as a part of the movie's latest batch of reshoots. As if I hadn't made it clear in the opening of this topic already, Ezra Miller, The Flash, and Warner Brothers are dealing with a PR disaster and have been struggling with it for a good many months now. Needless to say, if Ezra Miller is referenced in at least one thing, a majority of the pop culture crowd is not going to want to hear the end of it because they detest Ezra Miller with every fiber of their being. They want him to cut ties with Warner Brothers, and I can see why that is unfortunately the case. But something that is noticeable about this report of Ezra Miller returning for reshoots is not what many people might think. That it somehow indicates that Warner Brothers wants to continue or extend their partnership with Ezra Miller. Where people are like, hey, why is Warner Brothers doing this? Isn't Ezra Miller done? Didn't he commit all of those atrocities? Like, what's wrong with you? But if we let go of this, twisted version of events, let's just look at the reality of the situation. Ezra Miller is contracted for the Flash movie, and there's no confirmation that he'll be in any project past that movie. There's no proof whatsoever. If anything, I think Warner Brothers will finally be able to put this PR nightmare behind them, and they're not going to have it repeated again. And the only way that can hypothetically not be repeated again is if Ezra Miller is unemployed from Warner Brothers for good. That's one thing people have to possess a basic comprehension of before they hop on the bandwagon and say that, oh, Warner Brothers endorses Ezra Miller's behavior. Warner Brothers wants to keep Ezra Miller in their endeavors. That's not the case. Or at least there's no proof that it's the case. Because all there is baseless assumptions. Just because, the movie is still called The Flash. So, of course, The Flash is going to come back to do reshoots. Duh. And it's not like Warner Brothers can just recast Ezra Miller either. The movie is done. It's locked. You sabotage an existing cut of a picture by recasting Ezra Miller, which spells a literal recipe for disaster that exceeds just PR. It can result in a quality disaster, an economic disaster even, because, ticket sales might decrease due to negative word of mouth. Because let's say recasting Ezra Miller hinders the quality of the movie. Well, maybe the box office might, have a considerable amount of figures, but then in the second weekend, there will be people being like, hey, this new actor playing the Flash sucks. And I'm not talking about Grant Austin. I doubt they're going to put him in a movie. So then we're going to tell their granny, we're going to tell their cat, dogs, pigeons, we'll tell them, listen, this movie wasn't very good. We should have just kept Ezra Miller. As much as a PR pain in the ass that he was, it was the right thing to do, instead of just recast him in the middle of a picture lock. So that won't do good for Warner Brothers in the long run. Sure, it might give consolation to some Ezra Miller sensitive people out there, but what's it going to do for the movie in the long run? Little to nothing beneficial. And it's not like the studio would be weeding out a garden by recasting Ezra Miller anyway. Ezra Miller is one big tree, okay? Removing Ezra Miller would be cutting down that one and only tree. Analogy aside, The Flash is expected to release in global cinemas everywhere, assuming it doesn't get delayed again, in 2023. We're at the point now where Warner Brothers has to hear the words, chop chop, Adam Machete, you got a movie to wrap production on. Sad truth. But who knows? There might be multiple dimensions to this report that I failed to take into consideration yet. And if that is truly the case, or you have something you want to share about this report of The Flash and Ezra Miller reshoots, let me know what you think about it. Is it too late to recast Ezra Miller? Is it adequate to presuppose that The Flash is still going to have a difficult time recovering from this back-breaking PR mess? Whatever it is that you think, let me know in the comments section below or a Twitter inbox at Cinema Courtroom. Links are in the description below.